Billions of people say the word car every single day. We drive cars, park cars, wash cars, and buy cars. It feels like one of the simplest words in the English language. But if you follow that tiny three-letter word backward through time, the trail is surprisingly long. It passes through ancient civilizations, horse-drawn wagons, medieval trade routes, and the Roman Empire. Here is the most interesting part. The word car is far older than the automobile itself. People were using versions of this word thousands of years before engines, gasoline, or paved roads ever existed. So how did a word once used for wooden carts and wagons end up as the name for one of the greatest inventions in human history? Let's find out right here on History of Simple Things. Long before automobiles came along, people moved goods and passengers using wheeled vehicles pulled by animals. These included carts, chariots, wagons, and carriages. The modern word car traces back to ancient Indo-European languages, where early root words like carrus or carrus described wheeled vehicles. One of the earliest clear ancestors of the word came from the Gauls, a Celtic people who lived across parts of Europe more than 2,000 years ago. They used the Latin word carrus, which meant a wagon or cart. When the Roman Empire expanded across the continent, the Romans adopted this word and carried it with them. Over the centuries, the word kept changing shape. In Old Northern French, words like carre and carrus appeared and referred to wheeled transport. After the Norman conquest of England in 1066, French flooded into the English language, and English picked up several of these terms along the way. Words like carriage and cart are actually close relatives of car. They all share the same ancient transportation routes. So even though modern cars run on engines instead of horses, the name still carries echoes of old wooden wagons rolling down dirt roads. By the 1500s and 1600s, Europe had entered the age of elaborate horse-drawn travel. Wealthy people rode in decorated carriages while ordinary workers used simple carts. During this period, the word car started appearing more often in English writing, though it did not mean what it means today. At that time, car usually referred to a wheeled vehicle of some kind, especially one used to carry goods or people. Many people thought of it as a shortened form of carriage. Early English dictionaries often described a car simply as a cart or wagon. This was also a time when the kind of vehicle you owned said a lot about who you were. Fancy carriages were a sign of wealth, much like luxury cars are today. Kings, nobles, and merchants spent enormous amounts of money on ornate horse-drawn coaches with suspension systems, padded seats, and decorative designs. Some even had early shock-absorbing features to make rough roads easier to travel. Engines still did not exist, but the language of transportation was already shifting. The word car was slowly becoming connected to personal travel rather than just hauling cargo. Everything changed in the late 1800s. Inventors across Europe and America started building self-propelled vehicles powered by steam, electricity, and eventually gasoline. For the first time, transportation did not need horses. When these new machines arrived, nobody agreed on what to call them. Early names included horseless carriage, motor wagon, and self-propelled vehicle. The word automobile eventually caught on because it combined two languages. The Greek word auto meant self, and the Latin word mobilis meant moving. Put together, automobile literally meant self-moving. At first, automobile sounded modern and exciting. Newspapers and manufacturers loved it because it made the invention feel like something truly new. But the word had one problem: it was long. In everyday conversation, people naturally started cutting it short. That is when car came back. Instead of saying automobile every time, people began calling these machines motor cars, and then just cars. Since the new vehicles still looked and worked a lot like carriages, the old transportation word fit surprisingly well. By the early 1900s, car had become the go-to everyday word in English-speaking countries. It was short, simple, and easy to say. Automobile became more formal and was used mostly in technical or official settings. Something else worth noting is that different languages went in different directions. In American English, car became the standard word. But in other places, different terms held on. In German and Italian, auto is commonly used. In some regions, words tied to motor or vehicle became more popular. Even within English, you will notice differences. British English sometimes uses motor car, especially in older writing. Automobile still appears in legal documents, museums, and historical discussions. Language does not evolve in a neat, organized way. People naturally shorten words, borrow from other languages, and use whatever version feels easiest to say. Over time, the simplest words tend to win, and few words are simpler than car. The next time someone mentions a car, remember that the word itself is ancient. It predates engines, highways, gasoline, and even most modern countries. What started as a name for rough wooden wagons in ancient Europe slowly made its way through Latin, French, and English before finally landing on the automobile. In a strange way, modern cars are still connected to those early ancestors. They may run on computers, fuel injection systems, and electric motors today, but the name still comes from humanity's oldest wheeled transport. The technology changed completely, yet the old word survived thousands of years of history to make the journey with it. And that is something language does more often than you might expect. Sometimes the newest inventions carry the oldest names. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We will be sure to give you credit for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on another journey through the history of simple things. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories hidden in the smallest details.